Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Show. Joined, as you can see, by the homie Matt Modi at Jedi Modi as well, we should say, with a solid YouTube channel. I think we have a decent amount of crossover, actually, man. So,
Yeah,
how you doing today?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Appreciate you having me on. Excited to talk non-NBA, talk All-Star game. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm doing well. How about you?
Oh, same, man. Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to some of this stuff that we're betting on and we're talking about. I'm giving a little disclaimer too, where like this is the All Star game. It's All Star weekend. There's skills challenges and things like that where people are having fun. It's fun. It's supposed to be fun. We're not betting. I know I'm not, and I feel confident I can say that you're not going to be throwing like giant
Not
unit
a ton of
sizes.
units. Yeah.
Yeah, there's not a lot of bets that are anything but really plus money. So it's like, why would you do anything but sprinkle? Well, you don't need to. I mean, these are all right up your alley, right, dude? Like these
Oh
plus
yeah.
money bets. That's what you do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're gonna basically be doing that for the majority of this show. I'm gonna run through some of the special events here, and then get into the actual game itself. We'll basically just stick to Saturday and then into Sunday for this stuff. I will say follow along on Modi's channel as well. That'll be in the description because I know he's gonna be putting out videos throughout the weekend as well. Already put one out for 3-point contest. So spoiler, you can see some of that stuff in there already. But I'm
Yeah.
happy to push you over there because you do a solid job, man. So happy to have you on as well. But let's just jump right into it. I'm gonna start with the 3-point contest itself on Saturday and get into that with you. And I know you have a couple plays for that, right?
Yeah. I got a favorite and a long shot. Just two. I put a half unit on each. Hopefully, if we get one to cash, we're squarely in the green as my dogs go crazy. But yeah, a couple picks for that.
Yeah. Let's get into it. What's your what are you looking at first here?
So I just set the stage a little bit. Like I don't know how you feel about it, but I don't like Damian Lillard being the favorite. I feel like everybody's going to be on Dame because he won last year, and I'm out on that. Like I bet Dame last year, but this year it's like he's a different player. He's shooting his second career worst from three, and we talked about this on Kyle's show yesterday, and I didn't realize this, but he's got personal shit going on, which is why he's struggling on the court. So he's second worst from three, and last year he was like averaging over 30 points per game. It's just a different year. So just to set the stage a little bit, who I chose as my favorite, quote unquote favorite, he's got the second best odds, is Halliburton. Technically, and I don't know, like I'm assuming not if you put any stock into this, but technically a hometown player has never won the 3-point competition before. Last year, Lauri Markkanen had the opportunity.
Yeah.
It's like the trends like that. Like I'm curious for these, not like these specialty events and stuff. Like, do you look at any type of trends like that? I'm just curious. You're like, how do you go about your picks?
Honestly, yeah, because one of my picks is a little bit predicated on that, which I'll talk about here in a sec. But like, I put stock in not necessarily like the 3-point shooting as much as what I'm going to talk about, which is a little different. And I won't get it's going to be about the skills challenge, so that's a bit of a spoiler. But I think there's a bit more to like, I don't know, the feel of the court. I guess the rims could matter. But I think there's plenty of dudes that walk into other gyms and are like, I've played here 4 times a year, 3 times or 2 times a year, at least 1 time a year. Like I feel confident. I love this court. I love these hoops. Like the other players like other dudes' gyms as well.
Yeah.
I don't think that with the 3-point contest. Yeah. I don't think that a player doing better in his own gym actually has any, like actual tangible effect on 3-point contest. No.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Like I didn't put any, like some people are putting a positive spin on it. Like, oh, he's at home. He's going to want to like show out in front of his home crowd. Whereas the other side of it is hometown players literally never won the 3-point competition.
Right.
There was a couple stats that I tried to look at that landed on my favorite in Halliburton and also my long shot. For Halliburton, number one, I think it's important that he played well in the All-Star or the 3-point competition last year. He made it to the finals. He lost to Dame, and he tied the record for most points in the first round. Granted, they've changed up the scoring. So like when we were watching it as kids, it's different than what it is now, but he tied the record in the first round. So it makes sense that he kind of had a little bit of a drop off after that. When you're so hot in the first round, it makes sense you kind of just blow your load a little bit. But I like the fact that he's participated. He knows what it's like, and he played well. And then in terms of stats that I looked at, he takes the second most wide open 3-point attempts in the NBA per game at 5.1. He makes 43.2% of those wide open attempts. That is the 3-point competition. They're all wide open. And the guy that shoots more than him is Trae Young, but he shoots them at a worse percentage. And that's kind of the misnomer with Trae is he has limitless range and he can catch fire, but he's not a 40, 42, 43% from deep type of shooter. I think he's kind of miscast as people thinking he's Steph Curry, but that's actually not what the type of shooter he is. So that's why I liked Halliburton over Trae. And then Malik Beasley technically shoots the highest percent on wide opens, or excuse me, on wide open 3-pointers of everybody in the competition, but he attempts half as many as Halliburton. He attempts less than 2.5 per game. Halliburton's at 5.1. So I think the volume aspect is important because, I mean, how many you take 30 shots? You go around 5 times, 5 shots each. So like, I think the volume's important. So I found Halliburton had the best balance of volume plus percentage on wide open shot attempts. So that's kind of what led me to him as my favorite.
I like it. Yeah, I do like dissecting the 3-point contest. I liked it a lot more where there was so much value when it was like Buddy Hield was in it year after year, and like Clay was in it year after year. Then Steph was in it for a couple years in a row, and like I'm trying to think if there was either way, like mostly Buddy, and Devin Booker was in it a couple years. So you were like, okay, like I'm getting some at least like consistency with who is playing in it, right? And now it's definitely a little bit different. I do like to go for guys with obviously quick releases. I think there is something to the idea that a guy like Cat and Lauri Markkanen, the ball just is going to need to move further away from the rack before you release it. That's going to be a little bit, you moving bigger arms is going to be tiring. Like, it's just seriously like after you shoot 30 balls in a row and then you do it again. I mean, that's really, really tiring.
Sure.
You're right that the scoring is different. It was so easy when it was like there's 30 points and there's 5 racks. It's so easy.
Exactly.
But now the starry challenge ball or whatever is like 40 feet away. Yeah. So it got a little bit silly to like make it more interesting. Plus, like, Steph would probably hit 28 to 30 on every single rack, and like Clay would be in there as well. There other dudes would too. And it's like, okay, we can't. This is too much easy for them now. But to your point and what you're saying, like, I love the Halliburton bet, and the only angle I would add to it in support of it is I really wanted to pick him for MVP, but I don't think I can because I don't think he's gonna want to go all out in a game that he could get hurt. When he's made clear, like he's been on the Old Man of the Three podcast that he was on is an incredible episode. I would definitely recommend that one with JJ Redick's podcast. And he actually says on there, he's like, yo, the reason I hate the 65 game rule is because like there's so much money tied to me doing XYZ that like this is what I'm trying to do. So I'm coming back slowly because like I want to try to impact as many games as I can, so that like we get these many wins, because that helps me get this award too, which helps me get money. Like it all comes together to help, right? So like anyway, like I don't think he can go all out in that, and I do think he wants to get a piece of something, right? And so it makes sense that this would be the competition where he would be like most suited to win already anyway, because of, like you said, how well off he did, in last year. So I would tell you on that one before I would really go anywhere else. But let's go to the dunk contest, or you know what? Let me give my skills challenge one real quick, and then we'll get into the dunk contest. But the skills challenge one, I did take the home team, the Pacers, right? And there's a couple of things. So there's 3 teams. There's the number 1 picks, which is like Wemby, Ant, and Paolo. They're all like on a team together, and then there's just like a random mosh of dudes who are on the All-Star team, which is like Tyrese Maxey and Scotty Barnes are on it. I even forget the third one for that one, but the reason I care about that is because that's kind of why I'm fading them. Is like there's a couple different rounds. There's shooting and there's passing, and they're not like different rounds. It's not like one thing where you go through a maze and then you pass and then you shoot. It's like there's 3 different rounds. One is based on passing. You get different points for like chest pass, bounce pass, full court pass, and then one is the shooting, which is like from different areas on the court and stuff like that, right? And then it's accumulation of points that you get in each round. And so with the like shooting round, like I don't know, man, like Scotty Barnes and Tyrese Maxey on one team. Just for the record, like Tyrese Maxey has proven that if someone is not passing him the ball from the post out to the 3-point line, he's not a good 3-point shooter. I don't know what else. Like he needs to be spotted up and ready to go. He's not Steph Curry. He's not Trae Young. He's not coming off of screens, pulling up and hitting threes with hands in his face. He's proven that he's 32% without Embiid this year, and on those catch and shoots, he's so much better. He's like 41% from 3 on those catch and shoots. So that's not a good sign for him in this one, because he's gonna have the ball in his hands dribbling a couple of times. I like the Pacers. I do believe in them, like in this one a little bit more, where it's like everything for them. I liked it last year. Here's the thing. I loved it last year with Utah because the half court shot was a big part of it. The half court shot was something you had to do at the end to make it. And it was like, that's where I'm like, I don't know. They're shooting half court shots at the end of practice probably every day. Like whoever makes the first one doesn't have to run or whatever. And then, and then now it's actually just a tiebreaker. So if you have the same amount of points as another team going into the last round, the tiebreaker is a half court shot, which still in the favor of the Pacers. So I'm just throwing it out there for the skills challenge because I've had some luck betting it before. I took the Jazz last year, feeling good about the Pacers this year. That's really it.
Yeah. No, for sure. And before we go to the dunk contest, I just want to give out my long shot for the 3-point competition as well.
Oh, you have?
I'll be
Oh,
quick.
yeah, one more. Hell yeah.
You're probably not going to like it because you just said you didn't like it, but Lauri Markkanen is who I took
Lowry.
for the catch. Like, I don't know, Cat won or not. Yeah, Cat won 2 years ago.
That's true. That's true.
And he was one of the guys that I wanted no part of, and then he won 2 years ago. So like, obviously I was wrong. I was wrong there.
Same.
So real quick, my logic for Markkanen. He did participate last year. He wasn't horrible. He didn't advance past the first round, but he wasn't terrible. And the reason why I took him, so Halliburton, I looked at wide open shots. For Markkanen, I looked at catch and shoot, and he takes the most catch and shoot opportunities per game by a mile. He averages about 7.4 catch and shoot 3-point opportunities per game.
Right.
The next highest person is below 7. So he's a pretty big margin in first, and he shoots 42% on those. The next closest guy participating is Malik Beasley. He does shoot at a higher percentage, but again, he shoots 4.8, like 3 full fewer shots per game than Lauri Markkanen. And Lauri's pretty good on wide open shots as well. He takes the third most of all participants. So Trey's number 1, then it's Halliburton. And they're actually top 2 in the entire NBA. And then there's a drop off in terms of the whole league, but then of the people participating, Markkanen's third. He's at about 3.6 wide open attempts per game. He shoots 45% on those. So he's probably the biggest balance in terms of wide open, also with catch and shoot, where Halliburton is mostly just wide open. And he's like, he shoots over 40% from three. He's a good shooter. So, and his was plus 800. So it's like 8-1. It could be a big man, like Cap a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I thought about it too. I didn't even think about that while I was talking trash on Cat, because that was something that surprised the hell out of me, and I certainly did not have a dime on Cat that year. I was like, "What's the no on Cat winning? Just give me that at minus 10,000." And like, whatever. But on
the video I did, I was like, "He's one of the guys that I'm fading. That like I want no part of." So yeah,
right? Yeah. How do you bet no on that? But it was helpful to think that for the other guys. But no, I like that, and I would throw in Trey though as well. My buddy found a pretty good one that I liked, which was Trey to have over 21.5 points in the first round was plus 114. I like that as like, that felt just like a bet I would make if this was like a regular day in the NBA. And I needed to get to that number, because now it's you have a greater possible number that you can hit. You can choose not to shoot, but you have a full rack of money balls. That's one of the reasons that it's already higher. And then there's like a couple 4-point shots you can take that make the math something I'm not good at. I can't get there. But, but either way, So for the dunk contest, I don't want to spend that much time on it either, because like I also, there's no analytics I could give you other than like, yo, I heard Matt McClung was in the lab and like he's gonna have some nasty stuff for you. Like, I don't know, whatever. So is everybody. But you've got someone that is his name is at least near and dear to my heart. Even though his brother's now on the Pacers. Talk about Jacob Toppin.
So Mac McClung's the favorite. He won last year, but he's minus 190. Like, I'm not touching minus 190 to win the slam dunk competition. I don't like Jaylen Brown because I feel like he's more name value. Like, they just need to have someone that people have heard of in the dunk contest. And Jaime Jaquez Jr., I think he won a dunk contest in high school, but that's not his game. Like, he's not a high flyer. So Jacob Toppin, like, he's got the biggest or the most reach, the best length for whatever it's worth. And so like maybe he could just combine a little bit more creative dunks just by having that reach. Obviously McClung has the highest vertical, and that's why he's the favorite, and because he won last year. But Obi Toppin won 2 years ago. Let's reunite the brothers. Have them like the only set of brothers that have ever won the dunk contest.
Yep, 100%. Because Brent Barry won it, but there's zero chance that John Barry ever won a dunk contest. So that kind of put them out of the running right away. I don't know who else had a brother in the league that won a dunk contest. I'm not doing that. Because I don't.
Giannis, if Giannis participated, he could probably win, but I don't know if any of his brothers could.
I don't think Thanasis can add.
Or Alex.
And like Jaylen Brown, if you get points for breaking the rim, then he would probably win. He's angry. Like, he crushes the ball down through the net with that one-hand power slam that he has. That would be like, okay, if this was like how hard can you hit the rim with your ball when you dunk? He's up there. But not like, well, what are you gonna do now? Like, I don't know. And it is like a little bit either shorter or longer, like limbed, right? Those seems to be like the way to do it. Be the winner, if you will. Like Derrick Jones Jr. was winning, and he's pretty tall, but like, he had the length. So I would agree with that. There's not much else to say there. I think the game is interesting. And I think I don't know, I can't believe anybody would be in a different place than either of us in terms of who we would take on the either spread or money line. But if this is like, I'll just say this to intro the pick that I know we both have, because like the East is listed as an underdog, and we're
Yeah.
back to a different format now than we used to be at, right?
No
Like
Elam,
the
yeah.
Elam, it was a little bit different for the last couple of years, and they went, wait a second, we can't have 390 point totals in an all, like we still have to have some semblance of care somewhat. And how do we instill that? Well, the conference stuff worked well enough. At least these dudes banded together to go, hey, we're in these super arbitrary conferences that aren't even really based on geography anymore.
Yeah.
Like. So,
Yeah.
But like, because the Memphis is in the West.
Yeah,
But,
Memphis, yeah.
right. Like it's a huge one. And Milwaukee could probably be in the West again, whatever. Like point is like, they at least care because they're the East now and they have the same jersey on that indicates that like they're on one team. And so at least you're like, all right, well, I do care about this enough to be like, this isn't just 10 dudes on a court just running around. This is like 5 dudes caring about defending this part of the court and whatever. So I think there's a couple ways that you play that, but that's what you base it on is like take note of the difference in the ending and the way it used to be with the Elam ending, where you had to like hit a certain amount of points and the Kobe number and right, like without getting too far into that. It's now just a basketball game that at the end of the game, whoever has the most points is the winner of that game, right?
Yep, 4 12-minute quarters, easy enough.
So what do you do with that information this year for yourself and the bets?
Yeah, so it really like if you're just looking for the best value in terms of the total, it's on the under. But I mean, I'm not touching that. I can assure you, I'm not taking an under in an All-Star game. But like it's at 361.5. Like I get it that the Elam ending was a little bit different, but a number hasn't exceeded 361 since 2017, and a couple of years in there, we're without the Elam ending, right? So again, I'm not actually betting that. If you're looking for like what's the actual best bet for the total, it's the under. But yeah, I mean, it sounds like we're in agreement. I'm on the East. I feel like the West is only favored because they have the name brand of like if you just look at the rosters, well, the West has better players, so I'm going to take them to win. But it's like Kawhi's not trying in an All-Star game. Luka's never tried in an All-Star game. Jokic has never tried in an All-Star game. LeBron hasn't tried in an All-Star game in like 3 or 5 years, except for 1 year when he did try. Yeah, there's guys like Ant who are going to put forth effort, but like Paul George isn't going to care. It's just the West is just older. Like Kevin Durant, he used to care a lot about the All-Star game. Who knows how much he's going to care anymore? Like dude's 35. Like how much are you really going to put in when you've had injury issues the past like 4 years? Whereas the East, Halliburton's a first-time starter. Dame is a veteran. He's a first-time starter. Tatum put up 55. Which is crazy, yeah. But you spend all that time in the West, you just get Steph Curry.
Oh yeah, it's just crazy to think about, but it makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. Tatum put up 55 last year. Giannis only played 1 possession because he was hurt last year, but the previous 2 years he put up over 30 points. Like Jalen Brunson has like a chip on his shoulder. Trae Young's got a chip on his shoulder. Like I just think that the East has more guys who are going to try, which in a essentially pickup celebrity game like the All-Star game is, like that's what led me to the East.
Yeah, I totally follow that logic. I think a part of it is, that you get +1, plus good money for them to win the game. It's such a toss up, first of all. And like the things I care about are 3-point shooting and trying. Like, are you going to try? Can you shoot really well? Okay, well, obviously the West has the best shooter in the history of the game playing on it, alongside, Kevin Durant, Luka Doncic, pretty good. Luka Doncic has proven he could not care less about
He's never scored more than 8 points.
He's falling over laughing with his friends like they're frolicking in a field. Like, that's what all the memes of him are from these games. He doesn't give a crap about
Jokic is the same way.
Yeah.
And like, you think Jokic, his game is going to like hit. He has the worst type of game for an All-Star game format, like dissecting defenses and like bullying guys in the post. Like no chance.
Where's my backdoor cuts? Why is no one running a 3-man game with like Eric Gordon and Jamal Murray? Like where's Jamal Murray and Eric Gordon? That's such a fucking good point, because like the 2 dudes who crush in an All-Star game are dudes who are high flyers that everyone's like, I'm not getting in the way of this guy. Just go ahead and dunk. Or the dude who's just pulling up from half court when like Dame and Steph were going back and forth from like the logos. Like that's awesome. But let me watch that in the 3-point contest. In this, like Giannis is going to go bananas. Jalen Brunson's incapable of not trying. So is Giannis, right? We talk about that. Trae Young is, Trae is the exact type of dude you want. You want a dude who's just going to be throwing the perfect lob to the dunker, or the dude who's going to do something cool and flashy with the dribble, or obviously the dude that can shoot. Like those are the 3 things that make basketball fans go, ooh. It's literally when one of those those three things happen, right? So
Yeah.
all the dudes in the East, the only other part I would add to the Eastern part of it, obviously it's just like, this is a pick 'em, so we're just going to take the plus money more than anything.
Yeah.
But also, like, if you look at the top like 10 dudes in each conference for an all-star game, yeah, like if you put 10 dudes on the West on a court versus 10, like, on a team, it shouldn't be close. If they're like going for a championship,
If they're actually
it should
trying,
not be
yeah.
close. Yeah, it would be stupid when you look at the West, right? In the way that they could put a team together that every player would be like 6'7" and capable of scoring from all parts of the floor. So that's stupid. But like when you just put 5 dudes on a court that are just like, I don't know, whatever, like floating around and like kind of trying at the end of the game, then it's a very competitive game with the 2 5s that you have going up against each other, with the way that it's structured now. So yeah, there's no point in taking that, but you have an MVP bet, because there's a couple pretty good looks here, I think.
Yeah, so I already mentioned his name, but Giannis, I think he is the betting. I think he's the betting favorite. At least last I checked, he's the betting favorite to win MVP. So it's not. Yeah, he is currently the betting favorite. But he's at plus 600. So like the betting favorite, you're still getting great odds, 6-1. And yeah, I mean, I already mentioned kind of my logic, but he didn't play at all last year. He played one possession. He essentially didn't play, so he missed out from that. The previous 2 years, he scored over 30 points. And like you said, he's A, incapable of not trying, and B, the way you stop Giannis is you build a wall and you're physical with him, which nobody's going to do in the All-Star game. So I think it's either someone like Steph Curry who can blow up from deep, because then you just go 15 of 20 from 3 and that's how you win. Or you're like Giannis and you just drive and nobody wants to get in your way and you get 30 points that way. So I think if the East wins, Giannis is my pick. I will, and I didn't actually give you this, but if the West wins, I actually think it's going to be Kevin Durant. That's my prediction there, mostly because even though he's older, he has shown in the past that he cares about the All-Star game, like he appreciates it. And he's someone, like we said, that can just light it up from deep. I don't actually have any money on that, but I'm guessing people are going to want like, okay, well, if the West wins, who's your pick? So I'll just throw that out there.
Yeah. No, I respect that too, because I think it's like why would you try to get this notch on your belt kind of thing. And I think KD still wants. I mean, he has one actually from like 3 years ago. He was on the Warriors and won an All-Star game because of that. In the sense of like, well, let me at least stand out from the other dudes on this super team somehow,
exactly.
That kind of thing. But either way, like, yeah, I mean, if it just comes down to just like a shooting affair, like he's just as much up there, way more than like a guy like Luka or Jokic, like we said. So
yeah,
dude, I can't believe this is still a number, but Trae Young is 110-1 for the MVP.
That's
did
not
that
bad.
drop? Like, it's okay. It's 100-1. You might be able to get 110 somewhere else. I'm just looking at DraftKings right now, but like, that's stupid to me. Like, I gotta at least sprinkle on that. That's my long shot. I'm starting with my long shot because I do like, and I like that my long shot is in an opposite conference of my not long shot. But yeah, like, so I have 3 bets. Trae Young 100-1. That's silly.
That is crazy.
Yeah, right. Like, I don't know why you would lay that kind of number when it's random as hell. Like, what do you know that we don't know about who's going to decide that? Because the other thing is, like, we've seen, like, when a dude just starts to go off, then you just give him the ball every time, right? And now it's just a ramp up until he's just got an insane amount of points. And if he's going to hit him, he's going to hit him. And like, is there a streakier shooter in the league than Trae Young, just in terms of what his ceiling and what his floor are capable of being? Like you said, he's not a good percentage shooter because 1, the volume is always insane. And 2, like, he'll go, 0 for 8, 1 for 9, 1 for 8 for like a week in a row. And that doesn't mean he's taking less than 8 to 10 threes after. He's not going to stop doing it. So it just crushes his field goal percentage. But then you get games like this recent 3-week stretch or 2-week stretch where he's like literally shooting like 45 to 50% from 3 on like 7 to 10 threes a game. That's stupid. So like, if he gets in that zone, then shit, man. And the other part is like, if it's a narrative of like who did the coolest stuff, you gotta imagine Trae's gonna be throwing a behind the back alley-oop, whatever.
Through his legs and like pass alley-oops. Yeah,
he wants to show out. That's Trae Young's game. That's how he plays basketball in a regular game. Why wouldn't he do that in an all-star game? So the dudes, there's 2 guys also that I think are good bets, and I think Ant is a really good bet at 11-1.
He's gonna try. He's gonna try.
He's still got something to show. Like, And if you want to talk about a dude who looks like Michael Jordan in the archetype of
Yeah.
player that he is when he's playing and gliding to the rim, like his impression of MJ to me is better than anyone I've seen, to be honest. Not to besmirch anybody else, but like, yeah, that would be another like moment in time that would be like him rising to that, and he still has something to prove there. All that stuff. I mean, it's his team in Minnesota now, so like all that confidence definitely just like goes into you, and you just keep going into the All-Star game. He definitely, I think, is like kind of like when Kendrick Lamar was like talking about other rappers when he was on the come up, and he was like, I'm not trying to like be as good as them. I'm trying to crush them. I want them to know I'm like killing them. And everyone was like, who is this dude talking like that before he's done anything? I feel like Ant definitely has that in him. Is like, I'm not trying to be your friend. I'm trying to be way better than you had seen as that, you know?
Yeah.
So
and he's got the charisma. He's very charismatic. Like I hadn't considered Ant. That's a good one.
Yeah, I like that narrative, like you said, with the charisma and all that. So, and then the other one though is like Donnie Mitchell. I'm honestly just like, this dude has been a top 10 player on offense in the NBA for the last month.
Yeah, he's been on fire.
He's been dumb good. Like, and in the last month, you know, even after Darius Garland and Evan Mobley came back, and especially Garland, it was kind of like that moment where it was kind of like Tatum and Brown when like Jaylen Brown got hurt a few years ago, and then like Tatum scored like 38 a game while he was out. And when Jaylen Brown came back, it was like, right, okay, this is Tatum's team now.
This is Tatum's team, yeah.
Kind of feels that way with Donnie Mitchell, where it's like, this is all right, cool. This is his, and same concept with Ant. Like he's coming in and he's like, I got my own team back here. I can be alpha of this squad as well if y'all just give me the ball. And so yeah, it's just a few flyers here. We're not going nuts, but like I do like the MVP bets as like really potential some good money makers for us. But yeah, that's all I got for All-Star. You got anything else for this one, man?
No, I'm good to go.
Dude, I appreciate you coming on. I know Kyle was going to jump on with us and we missed him, so we'll have to get him on next time.
Yeah,
busy man. He might have had some PT. What are you going to do? But definitely follow along on Modai's channel. If you don't yet subscribe to that page, like I said, I'll have the link to his channel in the description. Obviously, if you're just coming along to this one, would appreciate subscribing to this one as well. Liking the video, jump in the comments, let us know what you guys think. This is a fun weekend, man. Like, let's have fun with it. If you guys are going to trash our bets, I swear we're going to take it even less seriously than we do when you trash our bets during the regular season. So it's all good either way. But until we see you next, man, happy betting.